Welcome to this Aspire Academy Explainer. Okay, picture this. You're just scrolling through your phone, checking your emails like you always do, and suddenly, bam, there it is, an email from that company you applied to. You open it up, and your heart totally skips a beat. You actually got the interview call. Now look, as a fresher, getting that first invite is incredibly exciting. But let's be real, right after that excitement hits, there's usually a massive wave of nervousness. Your palms get a little sweaty, and you start thinking, wait, what are they going to ask me? Am I really ready for this? Well, take a deep breath, because today we're going to walk through exactly how to prepare. If you're feeling anxious right now, I really want you to consider this number, 93%. Seriously, according to research, a whopping 93% of people are afraid of job interviews. So if your stomach is doing flips just thinking about it, you're completely normal. You're actually in the vast majority. But here's the real secret, While the fear is super common, it absolutely doesn't have to control you. Because the single best cure for interview anxiety, it's just structured, solid preparation.
The absolute most crucial point to remember here is this. You got the interview call. That means your application, your CV, has already done its job. It created interest. They actively want to meet you. So the next question is actually pretty simple. How do you prepare so that you don't waste this amazing opportunity? Let's dive right into how you can make absolutely sure you walk into that room or, log into that online meeting feeling totally ready.
First things first, we really need to bust a super common myth. Most students seem to think that interview prep means just, memorizing 10 perfect answers from the internet like it's a script. Please, whatever you do, do not do this, honestly. Do not memorize, prepare. Real preparation is just about being ready to speak clearly and naturally about yourself, your education, your skills, your past experiences, and why you actually want this specific role. Remember, they want to have a conversation with a real person, not listen to you recite a textbook. So to do that, we need a game plan. Let's look at our foundational blueprint. The truth is, real interview preparation happens days before you even step foot near the interview room. It boils down to three core things. Step one, understanding the job. Step two, researching the organization. And step three, knowing your own CV inside and out. Let's break these down one by one. All right, step one, know the role. Before you even think about the interview, you've got to read the job description very, very carefully. Ask yourself, what's the exact job title? What daily work will you actually be doing? What specific skills are they asking for? Is it a customer service gig, office admin, teaching, technical work, maybe a field job? Because look, if you don't understand the job, your answers are just going to sound way too general. A truly great candidate will always connect their answers directly back to the role they're applying for. Moving on to step two, know the organization. You really need to do some simple, targeted research here. Find out what the company actually does. Where are they located? Who are their customers or their students? What services are they providing? And maybe the most important question, why do you actually want to join them? For example, say you're a fresher applying to be a tutor at a local coaching center. Well, you should know exactly what subjects they teach, the type of students they support, and you should definitely be ready to explain why education matters to you personally. It just shows you genuinely care. Okay, step three, know your CV. Now, I know this sounds totally obvious, but you would honestly be surprised. So many students submit a CV but completely stumble when they're asked to explain it. You've got to be able to confidently discuss your education, your skills, any college projects, work experience, or volunteering. And here is a golden rule to live by. Literally anything written on your CV is fair game for a question. So never, ever put something on there that you can't comfortably and honestly explain. Now, let's talk about how you actually go about proving your skills. See, interviewers absolutely love examples. They don't just want empty claims. And to do this brilliantly, you can use a technique that the pros rely on. It's called the STAR method. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So when they ask if you have a certain skill, don't just sit there and say yes. Tell them a quick little story. Describe the situation you were in, the task you had to get done, the action you specifically took, and finally, the positive result you achieved. Let's actually look at the difference between a weak claim and a really strong example. Pretty much anyone can sit in a chair and just say, I am hardworking. But honestly, it's kind of a weak. It's super generic. Now listen to this instead. I try to complete my work on time. For example, during final exams, I made a timetable and followed it regularly to complete my revisions. See the difference? That is a really strong practical example that a first-time job seeker can easily use. It actively proves you know how to manage your time. To make this super easy on yourself, try preparing personal examples for these four really common areas before you go in. Just think of a time you solved a problem, a time you worked in a team, a time you handled pressure, and a time you learned something completely new. Just jot down a few notes for each of these using that STAR method we just talked about. If you have these four little stories ready to go, I promise you can answer almost any behavioral question they throw your way. Just keep remembering, examples make your answers significantly stronger. These stories are what build trust. They prove to the employer that you actually have the practical capabilities you're talking about. And hey, don't worry for a second if you're a fresher with zero corporate experience. Your examples can absolutely come from, organizing a college fest, working on a final year group project, or even helping manage a family business. Real life is completely valid experience. So, once you have your stories ready, you can start tackling those common beginner questions. You know the ones. Tell me about yourself. Why do you want this job? What are your strengths? What is a weakness you're working on? And why should we select you? Now, hold on. Don't panic. We are going to cover exactly how to answer these specific questions in the future parts of this explainer series. But for right now, just know that these are the ones you're most likely going to face. All right, let's switch gears and move to step 6, your physical polish. Because the reality is, before you even open your mouth to answer that first question, you are being evaluated. It really all comes down to documents, dress, and timing. The small things create a huge impression. Think about it. Being late, looking confused, or frantically digging through a messy bag for your papers, that's going to completely wreck your own confidence before the interview even officially starts. So do yourself a huge favor and make a checklist the night before. Keep a few clean, printed copies of your CV ready in a folder. Carry your certificates and your ID if they're required. Make sure you dress neatly and professionally. Iron your clothes, wear something comfortable. Put your phone entirely on silent, not just vibrate, actually silent. And maybe most importantly, check the physical location or the online meeting link in advance and plan to get there early. Give yourself time to just settle in. And look, if you think I'm exaggerating about how important these small details are, just check out this actual mock interview grading rubric used by evaluators. You see that entire top section, first impression? Interviewers literally award points or take them away based on whether you showed up on time, if you were dressed appropriately, and if you had your resume copies ready to go. They are actively grading your punctuality and your appearance, so definitely take it seriously. Finally, we arrive at step 7, which honestly might be the most important one. A calm mind leads to clear answers. Let's actually take a collective deep breath right here together. You've done the research, you know your CV, you have your clothes and your documents totally ready. Now, you just need to manage that nervous energy. Here are some super simple but really practical calmness tips. First up, sleep properly the night before. Second, please do not practice your answers right up until the very last minute. I mean it. That'll only make you sound like a rehearsed corporate robot. While you're waiting in the lobby or online, just take slow, deep breaths. And above all else, remind yourself that an interview is simply a professional conversation. They're just looking for a teammate. They're not trying to interrogate you. I really want you to keep this quote in mind. You do not have to act like someone else. You have to present the best prepared version of yourself. Because authenticity, it is far, far better than perfection. The interviewer wants to hire you with your unique personality and your unique energy. They just want to see the version of you that cared enough to prepare. So, here is a practical pre-interview task for you. Before you walk into any interview, I want you to sit down with a piece of paper and write out the answers to these 5 questions. 1. What is this job actually about? 2. Why am I genuinely interested in it? 3. What are my top 3 strengths? 4. What STAR examples can I share? And 5. What questions can I ask the interviewer at the end? Listen, if you can answer these, you are totally ready. And just like that, we've reached the end of part 1. By focusing on these steps, you can completely transform that initial panic into quiet, confident preparation. So I'll leave you with this. If you were called into an interview tomorrow, what is the one unique story you'd be most excited to share? Think about it. In the next part of our Explainer series, we're going to learn exactly how to answer the very first and easily the most common interview question. Tell me about yourself. Until then, remember the Aspire Academy motto. Study smart, speak well, step forward. You've totally got this, and I'll catch you in the next one. Welcome to this Aspire Academy Explainer. Today, we are diving into what is arguably the most common and, let's be real, the most intimidating interview question for freshers. If you are a student, a recent grad, or hunting for that very first internship, you are in exactly the right place. Let's figure out how to confidently introduce yourself and start your interview with a bang. Okay, picture this. You are walking into your very first interview. You got your best formal clothes on, you sit down, you are trying your absolute hardest to remember to smile, and then the interviewer looks right at you and drops those five famous words. Tell me about yourself. Bam. Your mind just goes completely blank, right? You freeze up. Do you start with your hometown, your high school grades, your hobbies? It is so incredibly easy to feel totally overwhelmed before the interview has even really started. So, why do they even ask this? It sounds so simple, kind of like small talk, but trust me, it is absolutely not just a formality. This is your ultimate chance to set the tone for the entire conversation. Interviewers ask this to figure out who you are beyond the bullet points on your resume. They want to see if you are a good fit for the company and the role. This single answer literally lays the foundation for everything that follows. Actually, it goes even deeper than that. Interviewers are actively scoring your first 30 seconds. It's true. In many formal interview grading rubrics, there is a specific section just for first impressions, checking off whether you presented an effective 30-second intro. They are evaluating your posture, your confidence, and your clarity right out of the gate. So your self-introduction is quite literally a scored test at the very top of the interview. Crazy, right? Let's break down what they are actually grading you on. And spoiler alert, they do not want perfect Shakespeare-level English, and they definitely don't want a long life story starting from when you were 5. What they do want to see is clear communication, a good sense of self-awareness, and solid preparedness. They're checking your basic suitability for the role. Plus, a good answer gives them a natural, easy starting point for their follow-up questions. It just makes the whole conversation flow better. To really get the hang of this, we first need to look at what not to do. Imagine a student sits down and says, "Myself, Rahul. I am from Guwahati. My father is a businessman. My mother is a housewife. I have one brother. My hobby is cricket. That's all." I mean, I am sure we have all heard an introduction like this, or maybe even used one ourselves. It feels safe. But in a professional setting, it is a classic example of a really weak answer. So why exactly does Rahul's answer fall flat? Well, first off, grammatically, starting with myself, Rahul, is just not the proper formal way to introduce yourself in English. You always want to go with my name is or I am. Second, he is giving way too much family detail. The company is hiring you, not your parents, right? Third, he completely ignores his education and his skills. And finally, abruptly ending with "that's all" feels really sudden and lacks professional polish. Okay, so how do we fix it? We use a super simple, stress-reducing structure. Seriously, when you have a framework in your head, the anxiety just melts away because you know exactly what points to hit. Here is the winning four-part formula. Part 1, your name. Part 2, your education or current academic status. Part 3, a relevant skill, interest, or strength. And Part 4, your goal, or the specific reason you are applying for this role. That is it. Just 4 clean, easy steps. Let's plug that into a simple fill-in-the-blank template. You start with, "My name is." Then you say, "I am currently," followed by, "I am interested in." You can throw in, "One of my strengths is," and you wrap it up with, "I am looking for this opportunity because." Now, a quick warning here. Please do not sound like a robot reading a script. Use this template to organize your thoughts beforehand. But when you are actually in the room, just relax and let your natural personality shine through. Let's give our friend Rahul a do-over using this formula. Listen to how much better this sounds. My name is Rahul Deka. I have recently completed my graduation in commerce. I am interested in accounting, business operations, and working with numbers. During my studies, I learned the importance of discipline and time management. I am looking for an opportunity where I can learn, contribute sincerely, and start building my professional career. Now that is how it should sound: warm, confident, and straight to the point. Let's quickly dissect why this new and improved answer is such a game changer. It is incredibly clear and concise. There is no unnecessary filler about his brother or playing cricket. It is highly relevant. He mentions commerce and numbers, which is perfect for a business role. The tone is super professional, but most importantly, it gives the interviewer a very clear sense of his career direction. He proved his value, and he did it all in under 30 seconds. And the best part is, this formula is completely adaptable. Let's say you are a student applying for an internship. Listen to this one. My name is Priya Sharma. I am currently pursuing my graduation in business administration. I am interested in communication, teamwork, and understanding how organizations work. I have participated in college projects where I learned to coordinate with others. I'm looking for this internship because I want to experience a professional environment and apply my classroom learning. See? Priya perfectly highlights her current studies, her soft skills like teamwork, and her direct goal of getting real-world experience. It hits all the right notes. So, if you take away one insider tip from these examples, make it this. Your introduction should focus on your future, not just your past. Sure, you have to mention your degree, but the real magic happens when you connect what you have studied to the specific opportunity sitting right in front of you. When you connect your past academics to their company's future, you instantly come across as a purposeful, forward-thinking professional. Basically, it all boils down to this absolute golden rule. Use structure, but speak naturally. Having that simple four-part framework in your back pocket is the best way to kill those interview nerves. Once you know you just need to hit your name, education, skills, and goals, you stop panicking about what to say. Then you can focus entirely on how you say it, with a nice warm smile, great eye contact, and total confidence. We have covered exactly why that first impression is so crucial, the big mistakes to dodge, and the exact formula you need to win them over. You are definitely no longer that panicked student freezing up in the chair. You are prepared, you have a solid structure, and you absolutely know your value. So as you head into your job search, I leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to make your first 30 seconds count? Take a deep breath, trust your prep, and go ace that interview. Today, we're getting you ready for the absolute most important part of your job hunt, the personal interview. If you're a fresher about to step into the corporate world, you are in the exact right place. Picture a nervous student sitting in their very first interview. The HR manager looks across the table, smiles, and asks this exact question. What are your strengths? Hearing this, the student's mind just goes completely blank, and they totally freeze up. After a super awkward pause, they smile nervously and give this brief, one-word response, I am hardworking. And then, just silence. They sit there, and the interviewer is clearly waiting for more. Honestly, we've all been there, or at least we know a friend who has. Okay, let's really dive into this. One-word answers like hardworking, honest, or sincere aren't exactly wrong, but they just aren't enough. Many freshers know the common questions, but they just don't know how to answer them properly. So today, we're going to learn how to tackle 4 common interview questions clearly and practically. Simple answers for a much better impression. Let's start by decoding the interview mindset. Interviewers absolutely do not want to hear a memorized speech downloaded from the internet. They're actually grading you on a simple rubric. First, do you understand yourself and your own skills? That is self-awareness. Second, have you researched the company and the role? That's preparation. And third, can you prove you are trainable? That is suitability. Keep these 3 pillars in mind for literally every answer you give. Moving on to question 1, your strengths. Notice the difference here. The weak answer is something absolutely anyone can say. The interviewer has literally no idea how you are hardworking. But the better answer, it provides a specific, realistic example from student life that actually proves the trait. You aren't just making a claim, you are giving them evidence, like mentioning how making a study timetable during exams shows consistency. So the crucial point is to use a simple 3-step framework to build an answer that's actually true to you. Step 1, name the strength. Step 2, back it up with a real example. And step 3, tell them exactly how this will help you do the job you are applying for. Do this instead of just picking a fancy word that means nothing. You can easily adopt your chosen strength to fit the exact environment of the job you want. Applying for an office admin role, highlight being organized and keeping clear step-by-step records. For teaching, talk about having the patience to explain concepts calmly and repeatedly. For customer service, focus on communication and listening carefully before replying politely. Always choose a strength that is highly relevant to the specific role. Let's tackle question 2, your weaknesses. Now, this question definitely feels like a trap, but it's actually just a test of your mindset towards self-improvement. Saying you have no weaknesses sounds super overconfident and unrealistic. On the flip side, insulting yourself by saying you are weak in everything just ruins their trust in you. But the better answer? Sharing a real weakness, like being nervous with public speaking, alongside your active steps to fix it, like joining the college debate club. That shows great maturity. Basically, recruiters want to see you flip a negative situation into a positive learning experience. They really don't mind that you have a weakness. They just care about what you are actively doing about it. So, always remember these 2 steps. Choose a real, manageable weakness, and then show what you are doing to improve it. But a quick word of warning here. Avoid mentioning a weakness that interferes with the core skills of the job. Like if you are applying for a customer service role, please don't say your weakness is that you hate talking to people. Keep it manageable. Next up, question 3. Why do you want this job? This question simply checks if you actually know anything about the company you are sitting inside of. The weak answer focuses entirely on what the company can do for you. Sure, everyone needs a job to start their career, but that doesn't tell them why you chose them. The better answer proves you've actually done your research, looked at their recent projects, and understand their core focus, like innovation. It beautifully shifts the focus from me to us. To completely master this response, you need to show your company research, highlight your product knowledge, and connect the company's daily work environment directly to your own career goals. When your goals align with the company's goals, you instantly become a very attractive candidate. Finally, we reach question 4. Why should we hire you? This is your big closing pitch. Simply asking for a chance because you are a fresher just isn't convincing. Every fresher needs an opportunity, but reminding them of your relevant academic projects, an internship in digital marketing, or your ability to collaborate in a team, that confidently seals the deal. You're showing them exactly what value you bring to their needs from day one. Since you obviously don't have decades of corporate experience, your biggest selling points are right here. Step 1, highlight your relevant skills and experience. Step 2, show fresh enthusiasm. And step 3, demonstrate a commitment to the team's success. Never apologize for being a fresher. Instead, highlight the energy and willingness to learn that you bring to the table. And just like that, the makeover is complete. We've successfully transformed those terrified one-word reactions into structured, context-rich stories. If you rely on this simple framework for every common interview question, be honest, be specific, and connect everything back to the job, you'll stop merely surviving interviews and start actually driving them. You will absolutely become a candidate they remember. So, before you step into that interview room and shake the interviewer's hand, I want you to ask yourself this final, crucial question. Do you truly know your own story well enough to explain it simply? Take the time to prepare your own answers, and you're going to do absolutely great. Best of luck. Absolutely in the right place today. We're going to demystify some of the most common yet honestly pretty intimidating interview questions you're bound to face. A lot of students actually know what questions are coming, but they just don't know how to answer them to really leave that lasting professional impression. So let's dive right in and make sure you're fully prepared for your big day. Okay, picture this. You're sitting right there in the interview room. You've just finished answering the classic, "Tell me about yourself." And then the interviewer looks at you, smiles, and asks, "So, what are your strengths?" It's a high-stakes moment, right? Your mind is probably racing. And suddenly, you just kind of freeze up. Out of pure nervousness, you smile and say, "I am hardworking." And then the interviewer waits. They're expecting a bit more, but you've got absolutely nothing else to add. Cue the awkward silence. Look, this is a super familiar trap. Using words like hardworking, honest, sincere, or passionate, they aren't wrong, but they're just not enough. In this explainer, we're going to fix that exact problem together. So here is our roadmap for today. First up, we'll look at the purpose of these questions. Then, we'll conquer 4 exact questions using some really simple formulas. Question 1, what are your strengths? Question 2, what is your weakness? Question 3, why do you want this job? And finally, question 4, why should we hire you? All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the purpose of interview questions. The very first thing you need to realize here is that interviewers, they're really not out to trick you. And they definitely don't want to memorize speech. They honestly just want to know 3 simple things. Do you understand yourself? Do you understand the job? And can you clearly explain why you're suitable? These questions are just a way to test your self-awareness, how well you've prepared, and whether you're ready to step into a professional environment. Now, taking a look at this, you can see the different types of questions interviewers use to figure those things out. Notice how they use behavioral questions to see exactly how you respond to tricky situations, and personality questions to figure out, well, if they actually want to spend 40 hours a week working with you. At the end of the day, it's all about gauging your industry readiness. Moving on to section 2, let's tackle question 1, what are your strengths? The golden rule to remember here is that a strength should never just be a floating adjective. Instead, you want to use a really simple formula to actually prove it. Step 1, name the strength. Step 2, give a small practical example. And step 3, connect it right back to the job. Now let's look at this side-by-side comparison. The weak answer, "I am hardworking," is just way too short.
Basically, every candidate says they're hardworking, but the interviewer has zero proof. The better answer uses a realistic college scenario. You say you're consistent, then you give the example of creating a final exam study timetable, and you show how that specific habit helps you meet deadlines. See the difference? It's clear, it's totally believable, and it proves that you can manage your time in an office too. Here are some alternative strengths you might consider. The absolute key here is choosing one that is genuinely true for you and actually useful for the role. So, say you're going for an office or admin role, being organized shows you can manage documents step by step. If you're applying for a teaching role, highlighting your patience when explaining concepts is incredibly powerful. Or maybe it's a customer service role. In that case, communication, like listening carefully and speaking politely under stress, is just perfect. Whatever you do, don't just pick a word because it sounds impressive. All right, let's move right into section 3. Question 2. What is your weakness? Let's clear the air on this one right away. This question is absolutely not an invitation to insult yourself. The interviewer is really just checking for your honesty and an improvement mindset. Saying something like, "I have no weakness," just sounds overconfident and unrealistic. But on the flip side, saying, "I am very weak in everything," is way too negative. The best approach is finding a balance. State a manageable weakness, like maybe getting nervous during public speaking, and then immediately follow it up by saying you joined the college debate club to gradually overcome that fear. So, just cement this simple equation in your mind. State a real weakness, plus show your improvement action. You really don't have to memorize a script for this, just remember the structure. It shows the interviewer that you're self-aware enough to know where you struggle and mature enough to actually take steps to improve. Next up, section 4, question 3. Why do you want this job? Interviewers ask this because they want to know if you've actually researched the company or if you're just blindly applying to 100 different places. A weak answer is simply saying, "I need a job to get experience." I mean, of course you do, but why this company? The better answer shows that you've done your homework. By mentioning their recent tech projects and connecting their focus on innovation right back to your own goals, you end up with a customized, highly compelling answer. And to put that into perspective, just take a look at this. This is an actual grading rubric used by evaluators. Notice how to get into that top tier, the "you're hired" category, scoring between 90 and 100, you absolutely must demonstrate preparation, provide detailed answers, and show you've done real research on the company. If your answers are too generic or show a lack of preparation, you drop straight down into the "we might have hired you, but" category. Which brings us to section 5, question 4. Why should we hire you? This is the big one. It's where the employer wants to assess your unique value over all the other freshers applying. And to answer this perfectly, we're going to use the HR industry's gold standard, the STAR format. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. Honestly, it is the absolute perfect framework to structure proof of your past achievements without going off on a tangent. Let's see STAR in action. A generic weak answer is just saying, "because I am a quick learner." But the better answer uses the STAR method effortlessly. Check this out. You talk about the college fest. That's the situation. Being on the publicity committee. That's the task. The work you actually did to drive awareness. That's the action. And finally, increasing footfall by 50%. That's the result. It perfectly correlates your college experience with the skills they actually need for the new position. So, the crucial takeaway for this question is just this equation. Connect your past experience plus your personality, and that equals a suitable fit. Even as a fresher, bringing your fresh perspective, your enthusiasm, and those real examples from college projects or internships literally proves you're ready to add value to their team. And that brings us to our empowering conclusion. Let's just summarize the core mindset shift we've achieved today. Remember, interviews are just structured conversations, not terrifying interrogations. Keep these golden rules in mind. Avoid memorized or robotic speeches. Use the simple formulas we discussed, like the STAR method. Be honest and always connect your answers back to the job. A winning answer is never just a one-word adjective. It's a specific, relatable story that proves your capability. Which leaves us with one final thought. Are you ready to ditch the one-word answers and start telling your own specific story in your next interview? Take these formulas, practice them with your own real-life college and internship experiences, and walk right into that interview room with total confidence.
Picture this. You're standing right outside the interview room door, holding your file. You've prepared your answers, you know exactly how to introduce yourself, and you know your core skills. But now comes the real test. Can you put it all together in an actual interview? Today in this explainer, we're doing a full start-to-finish mock interview practice session. Because you see, an interview is a complete performance, from the moment you enter to the moment you say thank you. Let's master that entire journey. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover pre-entry prep, acing those first questions, handling difficult questions, closing the interview, and finally, a quick checklist to wrap it all up.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Pre-Entry Prep and First Impressions.
A really crucial point to remember is that your interview doesn't begin when you answer the first question. It actually starts the moment you approach the room. So before you even knock on that door, take a deep breath and run through a quick mental checklist. Are your documents ready? Is your phone on silent? You want to enter calmly, totally composed, and definitely not fumbling around distracted. There is a massive difference between an unprepared candidate and someone who looks attentive right from the start. Walking in while looking at your phone or frantically digging through your bag, that's a big red flag. Instead, your phone should be away, your file held neatly, you knock gently, ask, "May I come in?" and walk in with a calm, polite greeting. Your focus needs to be entirely on the room.
What's really interesting is that things like your posture, your eye contact, and your punctuality are literally being graded before you even sit down. Interviewers are watching to see if you showed up on time, if your movements are natural, and if you greeted them properly. Your nonverbal communication is already speaking volumes.
This is exactly why how you sit matters so much. Body language isn't about acting, it's about projecting a calm, professional attitude while you wait for things to begin. Slouching, leaning too far back, or nervously shaking your legs just shows disinterest or anxiety. Instead, just sit straight, keep your hands relaxed on your lap, and maintain natural, easy eye contact.
Moving right along to Section 2, acing the first questions.
The classic opener. Tell me about yourself. This is the ultimate icebreaker. The employer just wants to gauge if you're a good fit beyond what's printed on your CV. They are looking for a brief professional summary here, definitely not your entire life story. Let's listen to a great beginner answer. My name is Rahul Deka. I have recently completed my graduation in commerce. I am interested in accounting and working with numbers. During my studies, I learned the importance of discipline. I am looking for an opportunity where I can learn, contribute sincerely, and start building my professional career. Notice how that confidently outlines education, some useful qualities, and a clear career direction, all without using any confusing corporate jargon.
The big takeaway here is that your introduction should just be a concise summary connecting your background to your professional readiness. Keep it short, keep it clear, and keep it relevant to the role you're applying for.
Next up, they'll probably test your self-awareness with a very common behavioral question. What are your strengths? Now, anyone can claim to be hardworking or organized. The real secret is actually proving it.
Listen to this response. One of my strengths is that I am consistent with my work. For example, during my final exams, I followed a study timetable regularly. I think this habit will help me learn the work properly and complete tasks on time. This is so effective because you don't just state a strength, you back it up with a relatable, real-world academic example. Structuring your answer around a situation, task, action, and result helps turn any past experience into a positive professional trait. This is known as the STAR method, and it is absolutely the best tool to make sure your answers are complete, driven by a story, and highly convincing to the interviewer.
Let's move to Section 3, handling difficult questions.
So what happens when the interviewer throws a slightly more complex question your way? Like, what are your salary expectations? This one can feel super tricky for a first-time job seeker. You might be terrified of quoting too high and losing the offer, or quoting too low and leaving money on the table. To answer this safely and professionally, just follow a few industry-standard rules. Always do your market research beforehand. Give a salary range, never a single fixed number. Show that you're open to negotiation. And remember to consider the full package, because things like company training and health benefits are incredibly valuable too. Using a diplomatic script really proves you know market trends while staying polite. Saying something like, "Based on my research, a competitive range for this role is between 10 to 12 lakhs per annum. However, I'm open to discussion and would love to learn more about the overall package." This keeps the door open and positions you as a reasonable, informed professional.
Section 4. Closing the interview.
You've navigated the hard questions brilliantly, but how you finish the conversation is just as important as how you started it. They will almost always ask, "Do you have any questions for us?" The golden rule here, never say no to this.
An interview is a two-way street, and this is your absolute best chance to show genuine enthusiasm. Asking practical, forward-thinking questions proves you're actively picturing yourself on their team. You could ask, can you tell me about day-to-day responsibilities? Or what kind of training will I receive? Or even, how would you describe the company culture? It shows you really care about your future there. And here's a secret. Asking thoughtful questions and showing preparedness is literally one of the key behaviors that pushes your total score right into the top tier, the You're Hired category. It proves you have above average maturity.
Finally, Section 5, the final checklist. Let's pull everything together into an easy-to-remember list. Save this checklist to remind yourself of the professional behaviors expected at every single stage. Prepare your documents and outfit early. Enter calmly and greet respectfully. Keep that straight posture and natural eye contact, use the STAR method for your answers, and always ask a thoughtful question and thank the interviewer for their time before you leave.
Remember, an interview isn't just a verbal exam. It is a complete showcase of your professional self. From the second you knock to the second you walk out, every single action speaks. So the next time you stand outside that door, ask yourself, are you just ready to recite answers? Are you ready to show them the professional you've become?